Hi, guys. Going to talk about a subject that I've had to deal with multiple times in my life, and that's the one of patents and software patents in particular. Uh, Essentially, when I was growing up, my dad was an inventor and he chased down multiple patents, okay? And none of them ever panned out because he focused more on getting the patent and trying to license it to big firms rather than actually just executing on the patent. You know, of course, it was in a highly regulated industry, so actually executing on it was a fairly complicated and expensive affair. But the fact is, I mean, this is not the first startup that's ever been built. You can do these things, right?
Well, and this
But it
isn't
takes a different kind of expertise than what it takes to be an inventor.
well, and it isn't necessarily even to say that the regulatory hurdles is something that, say, you should have even cared about if you had the right risk tolerance for it. There's plenty
Yeah.
of examples where people just simply ignored the law, like Uber, that sort of thing, and made a whole lot of
Well,
money.
and
That sort of
certainly
stuff.
there's the
So,
consideration of the international market where you can get away with a lot more things than you can in some other markets. Lots of ways that you can get the ball rolling, you know what I mean? And then hopefully not have your dog bark during all your videos. But anyways, when I worked at TI, we had a large division that was sort of devoted to making patents, some of them engineering patents, some of them software patents. And I can tell you right now, they probably didn't implement 90% of them or more. Okay. And it turns out that the even those ones that were useful, they weren't because they actually directly did anything with it. No, they licensed the technology to somebody else who needed it. And that was the thing that made me realize something's fishy here, right? This just doesn't seem to make sense from a practical point of view, right? Well, it turns out that basically this has to do with the nature of how intellectual property actually works in reality, right? Yes, ideas literally exist in the physical concrete world. On a RAM disk, they're electrons attached to an atom. I mean, it's something. It's not much of something, but it's something, right?
yeah,
If it's in
or
your head,
it's
it's a
stored in a
particular.
neuron.
Yeah, but that's the point. Is that I mean, yes, it does exist in physical reality, but the primary problem with it is what's the value of it, right?
Well, and what's the scarcity of the good? If, say, I give you an idea by telling you about it,
Now there's
do
twice as
do
much of it.
now
100% inflation.
yeah, there's no diminution of that previous idea. It's not like I give it to you and suddenly I've been mind wiped of it.
Yeah, it's exactly as useful as it is when he tells it to me as when I told it to him, right? So
Yeah.
essentially, you've just diluted the value of the actual idea, you know, by exponentially the more people who, you know, start to get the idea, you know? And that's the thing that's always bugged me about the patent system because it's totally public. You know, you're basically telling everybody on Earth how to build this secret thing that is the powering your business.
Well,
Essentially,
and nowadays with the internet, since they're all published on the internet, you're telling China, you're telling India, you're telling literally everyone out there what is going on regarding this new product that you have. And if you're not executing on it right then, they will.
yeah, and so what I've ended up seeing a lot in practice is that what patents end up being is an emotional investment machine, okay? It's a way for inventors to justify not actually executing on their vision. It's their way of, you know,
I'm an inventor.
yeah, and it's sort of a vanity project in that regard, and they can rail against you know, the regulatory machine being their
Or the corporations that they just won't make my product, something
yeah,
like that.
they'll gladly wait 20 years until it lapses or whatever it is. But the fact is that it's not even that the corporations aren't really interested. It's just they're not interested in something that has real weight behind it. Okay, which means you have an actual business selling it, that
Right.
people actually want it. What they want is a proven market that they can buy. They don't
Yeah.
want an idea that
Well,
they can buy.
because ultimately that's what ideas represent. Ideas represent a potential future.
Yeah.
That's what they represent, especially if they're novel.
And potential futures are worth as much as a paperback novel.
Yeah, exactly. It's in especially for novel ideas like patentable kind of stuff, innovations. It is like reading a fictional book because it's one of those, does this actually work, does this do that sort of thing? I mean, it claims it does, but we're going to have to see in practice, does this actually have a market?
Yeah, and
can we actually make this?
and
All that
even
sort of
then,
stuff.
if you go to the effort of having, say, like a patented production process, you have a production line, you have a factory, you have all those things, that doesn't even matter if you don't have customers buying it, because
right, because value is subjective.
Yeah, I mean, businesses are not stupid. They're not going to buy something literally no one wants. You could have the coolest invention in the whole world that could literally change humanity, but maybe humanity doesn't want it because they don't
want to be changed.
Yeah, that's just how it works, So that's why the patent itself is not a great idea. What is a great idea is a common law instrument that's been around for far longer than the idea of a patent, which was more of a justifying piracy instrument in the first place.
Right, it was royal grants of privilege under the British Empire. As far as how America got its patent system was kind of a hand-me-down from the old royal charters of monopoly.
Yeah, and all those sorts of things that were sort of statutory impulses. But in common law, the way that you protected your business secrets was something called a trade secret, okay? And those are still prosecutable under law. It's why nobody can duplicate the Coca-Cola formula, even though it's been stolen multiple times. It doesn't matter. The fact is that it's clearly how you make Coca-Cola. It's, you can do a chemical analysis and say, this is literally Coca-Cola. You are stealing from them, and they don't have a patent on it. Why? Because a trade secret that they actually take reasonable efforts not to have stolen is entirely enforceable. And the most important thing is it is durable. It does not expire at any time ever. Okay, there's no. It's not like copyrights that expire after like
say 100 years. Of the holder plus how many ever years if a company's still using it, or if it's Disney, never.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole big show, is that you just need to realize that a lot of times these older things that people overlook because, well, people don't want to look into common law because it's so useful. It's just. These things are very useful to you as a businessman, and you need to understand them and know about them if you're going to actually have something that's useful to you, especially as a software developer, because almost everything in the software process is more like a production process patent, but trade secrets are perfect for those, okay? How you make your machine that makes the sausage is more valuable than the sausage itself, right? A production line is so very valuable. And that's essentially what software is. It's a production line of whatever good or service that you actually want that's automated.
Yeah, because ultimately we're making our little automation factory for shifting bits.
Yeah,
ultimately that's what it is.
Yeah, and so that's sort of just what I wanted to talk to you here about tonight. Was if you're thinking about getting a software patent, even if you're a large business, it's probably not worth the money. What you should do instead is just execute on the vision. And if you really feel like you need to be safe, yeah, maybe you can get one. But the point is that should come out of profits, not come out of this is my seed corn that I'm sacrificing to get this done.
And more importantly, as well, as it regards patents, doing it from profit is actually a really valuable strategy, because once you file a patent, you can say that the patent is pending, that sort of thing, and any sort of people that are actually trying to copy your work, then you actually have the protections of it. So it actually makes a lot of sense to, protect something once you're actually making money off of it.
Yeah, and especially once you're selling something like a complicated machine out in the general society, which is fairly straightforward to reverse engineer, because let me tell you, everything can be reverse engineered with enough x-rays. So the big show is that there's a phrase that I used in testing with regard to, a lot of people were like, well, why didn't you build X into some software? And I said, well, I mean, it's a prototype. I don't put vault doors on crack houses, okay? There's no reason to secure things that are not yet valuable. And that's essentially what too many people take in the patent process. They want to get their ducks lined up in a row before they have any ducks actually produced.
They're overcomplicating their life because of fear of loss, and it's making them miss out on what they really needed to be looking for, which was the gains. They're playing not to lose instead of playing to win.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of the moral of the story, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you all next time. Peace.